Hey everyone. One of you recently asked me about the right balance between ego and humility. And this is a phenomenal question. It's actually something I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out myself, especially rather recently. So this question was really timely because it's something I've been thinking about a lot. And I've come to realize that if you get this balance wrong, it can create a lot of issues on both sides. So if you lean too heavy into ego, of course, we all know that that's bad because then you could be arrogant. And arrogance is a really unattractive character trait to anyone who has worked on themselves. Only people who are insecure may look at arrogance and view it as attractive because they mistake it for like overwhelming confidence, which that's not what arrogance is. But everyone else who can tell the difference between those two things, they're not going to want to be around someone who's arrogant. So we all understand arrogance is bad. But what is often not talked about is how bad being too humble is. Because the problems that arise there, well, one, you could let people walk all over you. You could be like too kind because you don't understand your worth. So you're going to let people just mistreat you. But also a problem that can happen when you're too humble is you're not giving yourself enough credit, which means when you're dating, you can easily pedestalize everyone that you go on dates with, and you never realize what you bring to the table, because there are actually plenty of times where you may be more of a catch to the other person than they are to you. In fact, that's such a great subject. I want to make a separate video for that entirely because I realize this is a big problem with men nowadays. A lot of men just are too humble, so they pedestalize women and they never stop and realize, hey, I may be a catch myself, because that would save a lot of men from unnecessary heartbreak. And yeah, so that's going to be another video I'll make in the future. But for now, jumping back into this one, you don't want to be too humble either. So you don't want to be too arrogant, or too egoic, should I say, and you don't want to be too humble. There's a healthy balance. And I've come to realize that healthy balance is being able to acknowledge the amount of work you've done to make yourself a better person, but also knowing that that doesn't necessarily immediately make you better than everyone. Because it doesn't. It really doesn't, especially because there's so many different variables and metrics that we can compare ourselves to others, that you could be more intelligent than other people, but maybe they're better looking, or maybe they have more money, or maybe they're more intelligent than you on a specific discipline. So it's there's so many nuance here that you can't quite ever say that you are better than everyone. That's never going to hold true because of all the different realms of life. But at the same time, acknowledging your worth won't immediately make you arrogant. So we should have the confidence to acknowledge the amount of inner work we put in and how that does separate us from the crowd. Because, as I've said in prior videos, average people are people who don't really work on themselves. They do the bare minimum. So as soon as you start taking your personal growth seriously and prioritizing it, it's usually going to make you stand out from the crowd, because the average person does not do that. So you should be able to acknowledge that without feeling like it's a bad thing. And here's another thing. A lot of people are afraid of becoming arrogant if they acknowledge their worth. But arrogance it's like being so egoic that you start to believe you're better than everyone, and you become self-absorbed and you literally kind of stop caring about other people. So it's actually pretty darn easy to avoid becoming arrogant. It really is. As long as you still care about others, you still want to be kind and respectful towards others, you're not going to become arrogant because that's not what arrogant people do. They stop caring about others. They care only about themselves. So it's really easy to avoid becoming arrogant. It really, especially if you're afraid of becoming arrogant, that kind of immediately says you're not arrogant. Because if you were arrogant, you wouldn't have that fear at all, right? So there you go. It's just, I think we've tricked ourselves into being way too humble, and it's starting to backfire for many of us, especially in the dating realm. Like I already said, it's healthy to acknowledge when you may be more of a catch to the other person than they are to you. And then, yeah, it just has so many benefits along with it, because it'll make it so that you can, for instance, get over someone a bit quicker if they, for whatever reason, aren't able to recognize your worth. Well, Now, if they leave your life, instead of crying over it and saying, oh my God, I lost this person, you can be like, you know, to be honest, like I was more of a catch for them, so it's kind of more their loss, and that will help you get over that. Hopefully it wouldn't be heartbreak, but maybe it could be that dire as well. So it's just a helpful tool to have in your toolkit, pretty much, to be able to know and acknowledge the worth that you bring to the table. It's not going to immediately make you arrogant. Like, it's so dumb how we've kind of conflated those two things. Like, if you recognize how great you are, then immediately you're arrogant. No, that's not how life works. Because you can know that you're great, that you've put in a lot of work on yourself, and you can still choose to be kind and respectful towards others, to still care about other people, to not immediately look around you and think you're better than everyone around you because you understand, well, one, that's not true, but two, life is just so nuanced that, yeah, everybody out there knows something that you don't. They have perspective that they can share with you. They have life experience that can open your eyes. So there really is no reason to be arrogant, and it's so easy to avoid. But yeah, just, I would say, if anything, you're probably a bit better off leaning more on the acknowledging your worth side of things, just because the downsides of being too humble are probably, in my opinion, a bit higher than allowing your ego to be too big. But at the same time, like I've already said, it's super easy to control your ego. Like, it really is. Like, as long as you still care about other people and genuinely want what's best for everyone around you, you aren't going to become arrogant or too egoic. So yeah, I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself at this point, so I'm going to end the video here, but hopefully you understand my logic behind this and how, yeah, you don't want to be too egoic, but you don't want to be too humble. Each side is bad, so you want to have a healthy balance, and if you're going to lean in any direction, you probably could get away more with leaning in the egoic side of things. Not too far, of course, but maybe just being a little bit more on that side than being in the center of the two. So yeah, our society as a whole just kind of is so afraid of being perceived as arrogant that people are too humble. It's like they're meek and they don't recognize their worth, and that is not a good thing, so make sure that doesn't happen to you either. But anyway, I'm gonna end the video here. I don't want to keep repeating myself, so I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, like the video and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this. I'm curious to hear. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci!